Good morning, afternoon, later in the day, morning, afternoon, whenever you're seeing this, welcome. So, I have been struggling a bit with content today, so I thought I'd do something a bit light and fun. And someone asked me a little while ago about my chickens. And I've got more here at the moment, and I want to talk about them because there's an interesting story behind them. And also my duck, who has balls. He's got balls. And the story behind those, because it's a bit of fun. And people might be interested, because it's actually kind of a cool little love story. Fucked up love story. The kind of story that you'd only ever expect from me, if you know me. But anyway, so you've asked about the chickens. I'm going to talk about the chickens. Now, if you're faint of heart or easily offended, it might be better that I will make sure that when I show you the inspiration for the chickens, that I tell you to look away, okay? But I'm going to show you. Okay, so now, I've never been much of a ornament person, right? A collector of ornaments or things or stuff, right? And you know how like the generations before us, like especially like my grandmother, we go to grandma's house and they seem to have, you know, a whole bunch of ornaments, right? Of the same thing, but they don't make any sense. And the one thing that I think as I get older and as I start to build memories and I start to have, you know, in jokes and all those sorts of things, that it can get away from you pretty quick, right? And the chickens are actually part of that. And I'll show you. Okay. So, but next time you go to grandma's house, maybe wonder if there might be a porn story behind it, because mine has. So this wonderful beast, he's got a rose in him at the moment. So I've stuck the rose. This is this chicken, right? This chicken. This chicken. It's getting out of hand, if I'm honest with you. But I love first of all, I love chickens as fucking animals. I love birds. This one, okay? Baby chicken. Lots of chickens, okay? And baked or fried chicken. I actually really don't eat meat, but yeah, anyway. Not because, it's just because I can't eat it very well. I can't tolerate it. I can eat it if it's like boiled to shit, like in a soup or something, but I can't eat like roast chicken or anything like that. It makes me feel sick. So, health problems. It's just one of those things that doesn't agree with me. And so anyway, so to answer that question that came up on Periscope, I like baked or fried chicken. I used to love fried chicken. I love KFC, but my belly just, I can't tolerate it. So here's a story. So Paul and I have been together for, well, I think we're married for, well, fuck. See, you start to lose fucking count after a while, after time, but we've been married for 2 years. So Paul's my second husband, and we have been married for 2.5 years and together for 3.5 years. So when we first started dating, we actually met online. I don't like admitting it, but we did. And obviously when you're doing online dating or that sort of stuff, I'd had a number of relationships between my ex-husband and this one. And so online dating is a shitstorm. It's a fucking cesspool. And basically, I think women have this way of testing to see if they're cool, right? Or testing for certain things and certain like your sense of humor or how you behave, right? Again, I'm not going to get into the fucking conversations around that because obviously there's men who just, yeah, don't pass those tests and are a bit resentful, right? But, and again, it's not conscious. It's just something that I think you subconsciously do. Now, I'm kind of weird, right? I'm hard work. I'm a bit fucked up, right? And when I met Paul, I'd just really given up on dating, to be honest with you. And I was a bit like, don't give a fuck, right? I really don't care. If I'm quite happy to stay single forever. I'd reached that point where I just was quite happy on my own. I wasn't really looking. I was kind of done with dating. And so, this dude pops up online and we meet, right? Just out of the blue, completely out of the blue. So I treated him like any other, which was with trepidation and being quite guarded in the beginning because, anybody who's done sort of dating realizes that it can it can be good for a day, it could be good for a couple of weeks, and then all of the crazy comes out, right? All of their weird shit. I've got something on my nose. Sorry about that. It's probably annoying. Anyway, so all your weird shit comes out, your quirks, and then it ends. So me, because I'm a fragile little lady, I like to protect my heart. I've been hurt. And rejected and all those things that go with it. And so I met this amazing guy. And because I'm awesome, I like to try and fuck it up because that's just how I am. Now, the thing about Paul you need to know is that I'm actually incapable of fucking it up with him. And he's just my soulmate and he's amazing. And anyway, don't settle. Don't settle for someone who doesn't fully accept you for who you are. Anyway, side point. Okay. So the chickens. So we had that date, that first date, drinks, pub, whatever, had a drink. And he told me a funny story about him as a teenager. We hit it off basically, right? Now, the funny thing that you need to know is that it's actually really bad because I would not recommend doing this, but from the meeting Paul to moving in, it was about 10 days. Just happened that way, right? I always said that he's the best stupid decision I've ever made. So anyway, so this is a timeline, right? And it was just when I met Paul, there was a familiarity, a calm, just a kinship. And anybody who has sort of met the one like that, it wasn't one of those sort of crash and burn lust, like intense things. It was just, holy crap, I like you and I've met you and I don't see my life without you now. You're in it. That's it. That's how I felt. And that's it. Thankfully, that was a mutual thing and we hit it off. So the chickens, I am getting to it with trepidation and a little bit of fucking like, oh shit, am I going to get kicked off Facebook for showing this? But so we'd met and we had that first date. Nice, whatever. Hi, nice to meet you. Exchange information. Then it was, I'd like to see you tomorrow. And I was like, okay. And then hit it off again. Hung out, right? We sat and watched a movie, right? And it was a movie called Cooties. And if you haven't seen it, it's fucking funny. It's a zombie movie, but it's messed up. Again, little bit of a test to see is, you can learn a lot about somebody, like what they laugh at, what they're offended by, because I like to just push, right? I push limits. And I think if you've watched previous videos, I've talked about this in light of autism, which is that I'm somebody who tends to lose relationships and lose friendships because I sort of push them to a point where it all ends. So I've analysed this, and obviously my series of tests is to see how far I can push them in the beginning to see if they're going to stick around, right? So I'm not saying my psychology is healthy. I'm just saying that's what my psychology is. So, post date, you know, you start texting back and forth, you know, that sort of thing where you start chatting and all that sort of stuff. What I decided to do was start joking around. But what I like to do is send the most fucked up things that I can think of, right? And sort of gauge the reaction. And what I did was within a day, because I felt this, I'd normally do this a lot later, but in this case it was just like, yeah, you're cool. There was a fast forward button on this thing, right? So sort of post date, and we started texting back and forth, riffing, joking, you know, all of that sort of stuff. And I started to send him funny gifs. And then I started to send him fucked up porn. One of my favorite tests for people to see if they're cool is to see to see if they can laugh at certain things, okay? Now, some of that porn I can't show you, right? Because like it's news filter, right? So some of this stuff was like, oh, that's right. There's one it's like one thing that I find really funny and weird is just that oddly specific porn, right? So there's one that is like, was it a Latina woman with being with fucking midgets dressed as prisoners on a bed of lettuce, right? That's the name of the movie, and that's exactly what you get. I find that funny. It's just my twisted sense of humor. Like, aside from my feelings around violent porn, it's messy, fucking oddly specific porn and that sort of stuff. So you got to sort of understand that about me. The other stuff, you know, like there's one where a guy like fucks roast beef, right? And I sit there and I'm a bit bewildered by the whole thing, because I sit there and I go, well, if you buy the roast beef, right, I think about all of the steps that you need to go through in order to film this, right? You put yourself in that situation. Like, do you go to the butcher knowing you're going to fuck it, right? Or so are you sitting there trying to choose the right cut of meat, right? Knowing what you're going to do to it. Do you buy it and then suddenly decide that you're going to do it? So is it in the freezer? Do you need to defrost it first? And roasts take like 2 days. So there's a series of decisions that go into this. And then it's just, you sit there and you go, okay, that's pretty funny, right? And also, do you cook it afterwards? Because obviously roast beef is quite expensive, and technically it's just sort of, you know, tenderized and seasoned. Right? Do you throw it out, or do you cook it? Or like, there's just so many questions, right? And that's one of those things where I just find it funny, right? This is what it's like living with me, is those kinds of fucking conversations. So, first date, you hit it off, right? You gotta screen this dude to see if he can handle me. So I send him all of these funny things that I find funny, and he, of course, thinks they're funny. And he goes, whoa! I asked him if he'd come on this stream, and he's like, no, I don't really like doing video, because he's not really much of a talker. But he has said to me, that was the moment I knew that you were someone very different and you were awesome. Right? So, so I just sort of I was like, this is messed up, all these things. And the other one that I sent him was a news filter link to, and you can go there and have a look yourself, okay? It's like bees, right? People who put bees on their junk and get off on it, and there's like bee porn. Again, I'm not going to play that, because there's no way in hell I'm going to fucking, risk my, it's a funny story, but I just look it up, right? I think the video is called Cock Needs to Behave. Something like that, right? Go under news filter. It's awful, right? But that's how you test. My series of challenges and series of tests. I am a mountain to be climbed. I am a quest to be fucking won. So, because living with me is a challenge. Like, I laugh at everything. Like, nothing is off limits with me, right? Aside from, with my politics is different, but I'm wired like an edgelord, right? That's just fucking how I am. So one of those things I was sent the following GIF, right? So bees and chickens have become a bit of an in-joke with us because, first of all, the bee porn, right? I mean, it's a bit harder to buy roast beef as a gift, so, but that was another one, right? So there was the bee porn, and then I sent him the following gift. Now, it's if you can laugh at fucked up things, then you can see this, and it's funny. But I am warning you: if you're offended and you've watched this far, I've warned you several times. If you look at it and you're still offended and you're going to report me, you can go fuck yourself, because I've warned you repeatedly, and I've made the video 18 plus. However, this GIF, right? It's something else. All right. Now, again, warning: look away if you're offended. It's the worst. It is the worst. Right? Oh! Chicken's face. Okay. So that's where the fucking chickens became a thing. All right? That's how chickens became a thing. So, obviously, that was how, and that was the moment I think Paul realised that there's something up with this chick. And him and I are both weird, right? It's just one of those things. I can't ask, he can't be a moral compass for me because he's just as funny and weird and fucked up as me in the head, right? It's funny, right? The way so the chickens, so over time you start to accumulate, you know, like what I bought this one, and the reason why I bought this one was because his leg was up like the one in like the GIF. Right? But every time, you know, these are all Paul. I buy these, we buy these every so often, so they end up with chickens, right? So that's the chickens. So they've become a thing. Now, and I actually sit there and I think, it's really funny because I'm not a collector of ornaments, right? But I never got that. And how you go, I've said this before, right? Which is that you go to someone's house and you see that they've got like a whole bunch of like the same thing, and everyone just assumes that you like that thing. Whereas this has just become an in-joke that's gotten out of hand, right? And if this ever explodes, or if I ever end up with a like sizable audience, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to end up being sent fucking chickens all the time. I love chickens, but you know, go to grandma. That's how grandmas end up with all these ornaments, right? Over tagging something, right? So so you go to grandma's house and grandma sent granddad chicken porn and it's a joke between grandma and granddad, and then grandma buys that, and then people come to your house and think, oh, they must like chickens. I need to buy a gift. Ornaments are very easy and thoughtful gifts. So people start buying chickens, and they just assume you like it. And that's how it gets out of control. And then you become a chicken collector. Right? So that was one thing. Okay. Now the duck. Now this is because this is a stress ball, right? It's balls, right? And you squeeze them and they do this. Look, it's so gross. Oh, excuse me, I just spat all over the place. But so I like to just put the nuts here because that's me. Right, hang on. Let's put it back. Now, ducks. So it's a sweet love story. Again, so on our anniversary, right, the first anniversary of us getting together, again, it was only 10 days, and then I moved in, right? It was just, it's crazy. And I would never have done that. I'm a commitment phobe, right? Anyway, it's crazy. So on our anniversary, I got given this box, this gift, right? And it says, and because my screen's mirrored, you won't be able to see it, but I've got screenshots, right? So, no, wrong one. There you go, reprise. So I opened up the box and here's this, right? And it's true, I am impossible to buy for. right? Because if I want something, I get it. That's just generally how I work. Here is a random duck. And then he said, probably a decoy duck, right? And then I opened it up and this happened. Hang on. And that was on the back of the card. So that's why I like ducks. And that's so sweet. So anyway, you're gonna let me get my screen back. So that's the story of why we like ducks. And Paul bought me this for our first anniversary last year. Was it? Hang on. I don't know the timeline. Second anniversary, first anniversary, I fucking don't know. Something, I don't know what year we're in. When it's your second marriage, if you get remarried, right, this is something that you got to know, is that you kind of, because you're older, but you also just lose count. And when you're like lazy and cruisy like us, you just lose track of, like, I forget, or just, yeah, I'm not very romantic. Yeah, he's more romantic than me. But anyway, so he got me this duck, right, as an anniversary gift, and I drew pubes on it. So that's the story of the ducks and the chickens. It's not that interesting, really. It probably wasn't worth a 20-minute video. If you're watching, ask me questions, but there's not really much to talk about. I didn't feel like talking today, so I thought I've got to do something light, something easy. Now, the other stuff that I've got is like, so this duck, behind the duck, I've got all, these are the books that I'm currently working on reading. I'm still currently reading. These are my law textbooks. They sit there as a reminder that I withdrew and I really need to sell them. This is a Psycho Mask from Borderlands 3. That's an emoji pillow that my daughter gave me. I miss you. I love you. And there's like Deadpool stuff there. And there's obviously my ukulele. And I play instruments and stuff. And yeah, just a few little things like Claptrap. If you're a Borderlands 3 fan, and Borderlands fan, I got like Claptrap and this Tiny Tina figurine. I'm messing up the whole desk and it's a bit shaky. Paul tried gluing it, but it didn't work. So yeah, these are just random things. And then there's this thing. This is actually like an arcade game thing. So like you can actually literally play it. It's really kind of cute. So you can do this. And you hit start. So you got this, right? So you can do that. It's pretty stupid, but we bought that. My son bought that for Paul. And yeah, anyway, that's boring. So anyway, and this is a tea dangly thing because people like making fun of my name, and Paul's daughter bought this for him for his desk, but he decided to put it on mine because he's an asshole. So that's the very fascinating story about my chickens. I'm sure it was fascinating. And I'm sure I told it well. And just in case you missed it, warning, content warning. It's the worst. It's the best worst. Okay, no more. Can't do it. I'm going to get in trouble. Okay, so this was stupid. Okay, I'm going to try and do some different content. There's fucking work going on with the neighbours and stuff. I'm going to go. I love you. If you want to, if you want to support quality content like chicken porn and weird ass stories, I should tell you the story about how all my embarrassing childhood stories, because I was a weird fucking kid, and I should tell more of those because they're actually really sad but funny. Like, anyway, about how my grandma had led me believing that I was the heir to the Smith's Crisps fortune. That was a funny one. And various other things. Being on the literal side of humanity, being on the spectrum, I'm easily led. So there's been times where I've been messed with a few times. So anyway, I've chatted too long. Visit tayasmith.com.au if you think this fucking whatever. I don't think this is a really, if you give me money for this, then that's awesome. And I also go, what's wrong with you? It's funny, but go for it. But do look at my website, subscribe, because I do other content. And also I do have a Telegram channel that you can join. So hit me up and I'll give you the address to that. I haven't got it. That's not scrolling at the moment because I'm fucking lazy. But if you want to subscribe to my mailing list and all those sorts of things. So yeah, you just follow me around and stuff. I've got all those things. I've got Subscribestar and Patreon and PayPal and all those other things if you really, really want to help me. If you want to help fund my fucked up porn habit. I don't actually watch porn, but I just find this stuff funny. So anyway, I love you. Thanks for watching. Thank you for your precious life seconds. And let's hope this stays up. Bye.